Welcome to Borders Kitchen, where the magic's cooked up. This is guide number 6, I think. Basically going to be looking at just one Civ, Galactic Empire, looking at their tech tree and just kind of describing it to you and talking things through. So let's go to the tech tree. Now, so over on the left, okay, so the thing about Galactic Empire is they're a very flexible Civ to play, so you can do lots of different strategies with them. So they're like Resistance in that sense. They're not like other Civs that can be quite narrow. So, for example, with the Wookiees, they've got great troops, great artillery and the like, and a bit of air. But they're not as flexible. You can't play as many different styles of play with them. Whereas Galactic Empire are flexible. So they're described as being a trooper and mech Civ. So normally these things, I'd say on the whole, are right. On this one, like obviously they're a mech Civ. The troopers one, they don't come across as a trooper Civ, but I can see why they'd say that, because their unique unit is a trooper and it's very good. But I'd like to say that Galactic Empire are also a Jedi Civ, a Sith Civ, and I'd also like to mention that their heavy weapons are decent as well. Okay, so unique units, both troopers, the Dark Trooper in the Fortress and the Probot in the Command Center. Dark Trooper, I really like them. Probot's just the scout. It's I wouldn't say it's the best feature to have in a civilization, unless you're one of those really clever people that likes to strategically scout out your opponent very well, so you can work out exactly what you want to build. But I don't rate Probots that highly. They're very fast though. Unique technologies they've got. I'll describe these later, so I'll just name them: Walker Research in the Mech Factory, Chain Lightning in the Sith Temple, and Altered Bargains in the Spaceport. Civilization bonuses: all miners work 10% faster. Nothing wrong with that. Now the next one's a bit of an unusual one, because what it is that airbase units cost 5% less in tech level 3 and 15% less in tech level 4. But what it doesn't tell you is that their air is not very good. So basically that bonus isn't like this amazing thing. It's more making their air that's not that good more playable, because you can buy it more cheaply. So that's a mixed one. And then last of all, upgrades to heavy mechs cost 25% less. So when you're upgrading strike mechs, mech destroyers and assault mechs to the heavy versions of those, it's cheaper. So that's solid. Then the team bonus, which is what your side, what your civilization brings to all the people on your side, is that mech factories work 10% faster. And I'm understanding that to mean that your mech factories produce mechs 10% faster, but also that they research the upgrades in mech factories 10% faster as well. And then last of all, the Fortress bonus, which isn't really anything to sing home about at all. It's just merely that you can build fortresses 10% more quickly, which is nice if you're trying to quickly get up a fortress inside an enemy's base or something. But otherwise, to me anyway, it seems a little bit underwhelming compared with some of the other fortress bonuses that Civs have. So let's look at the troop center. So what I see going on is that for laser troopers, you've got the full range of upgrades, including the range upgrades, which is good. And the same for anti-air troopers, full range of upgrades with the range upgrades, and then for both of those, the speed upgrades as well. So they have the full upgrades, but there's nothing special there to make those troops particularly good. You know, they don't get extra hit points, extra range, little damage bonuses, anything like that other civilizations get. So laser troopers and anti-air troopers just kind of average, really. And then the mounties miss the advanced mounted trooper upgrade, and the grenade troopers miss that really important explosive yield increase upgrade. So they're below average and not very good. So overall, their troops are, in this sense anyway, from the troop centre, just kind of average really, maybe slightly below, I don't know. Now their mechs very good. They get the full range of upgrades for all the mechs, all the speed upgrades. They get advanced redesign, which plus 50 hit points, which is obviously amazing for a little unit like a scout, and still good, but not quite so good for the big units like assault mechs. And then the other one they get as well, technicians, which not so good for scouts, but 25% more hit points on an assault mech is a lot of extra hit points. So they're great for hit points, and uniquely, Galactic Empire get Walker research, which means that an assault mech's minimum range is reduced, so it can fire more close up to itself for opponents, and it gets a smallish anti-air attack as well. So that's the only mech that can shoot at air units in the entire game, I think. Now, Sith, I don't see why Galactic Empire aren't described also as a Sith Civ, because when you look at them, they've got every normal upgrade you could want for their Jedi Masters, and I say every normal upgrade, with the exception of Faith in the Force, which means that they're a little bit vulnerable to having their Jedi converted by the opponent's Jedi Masters. But that's it. They've got all the other upgrades that regular civs have. They don't have the Republic ones, the Jedi Mind Trick and the Sight Beyond Sight, or the New Jedi Order ones. So the Sith rather, are looking quite good. And they even get a unique technology, chain lightning. You've probably seen it in the movie with the Emperor shooting lightning out of his fingers. And that's unique to Galactic Empire, and what it means is that Sith Masters have an area effect on their damage. And because of that, I think they should be described as a Sith Civ, because these days the Sith Knights and Masters cost the same price as the Jedi ones, whereas that didn't used to be the case. Okay, so great Sith. Now onto the fortress. Right, this is where the unique unit is, the Dark Trooper, and I'm a big fan of this as a unit. It's a really, really, really solid fortress unit, a solid unique unit, and I really like it. It's a trooper, okay, so it benefits from some of the upgrades that upgrade your other kinds of troopers. So like the range upgrades, for example, for your other troopers, that also applies to these Dark Troopers, and things like body armor for troopers and that kind of thing. They upgrade Dark Troopers as well. Okay, so there's quite a nice continuity there. If you've been building troopers at tech level 2, laser troopers and things, when you get to tech level 3, if you've been upgrading those troopers, when you start to build your Dark Troopers, they'll already be a bit upgraded because they use the same upgrades as your troopers. The other nice thing about Dark Troopers is they cost 135 carbon, which is relatively cheap, I suppose. But they're built from food and carbon, which are the most two common types of resource. So you don't even have to fork out any Nova. So it's very easy to collect and build these things. So although Troopers, they're, in terms of how they perform, they're very much like strike mechs. So they're fast like strike mechs. They don't plod along like laser troopers. These guys can really shift and get across the board like strike mechs can. And they're very good at shooting down troopers and laser troopers. So the main difference, I'd say, that I'm aware of comparing these guys with strike mechs is that Dark Troopers can detect invisible units, like invisible Jedi, for example. But I don't think they're as good as strike mechs actually killing Jedi. Okay, but they're a really, really solid unit. I like those. Moving on. So heavy weapons, they've got really decent heavy weapons. So they get all of the upgrades, all of the heavy upgrades. They don't get reinforced frames, so they, when fully upgraded, they have a small, 10% less hit points than if they had all those upgrades. But they get the rest of the upgrades that aren't, excluding the ones that are unique to other civilizations. So the heavy weapons are really decent. Now the airbase is where it gets a bit interesting, because their air's not great. Although they get all of the line upgrades, like fast fighter, advanced fighter, and that kind of thing. They lack advanced flight school, so they lose out on a little bit of vision. They've got efficient manufacturing, so they can be built more cheaply, but then they don't have shields, and they don't have armoured plate work. So at tech level 4, their aircraft starts to become weak, which is why having that civilization bonus of building them 15% more cheaply at tech level 4 rescues them a little bit. So it's not good by any means, but you can still use it. So what I've been saying with the Galactic Empire is they've got a whole range of tactics. You can still use fighters. It might not be good as top tier ones, but it's still usable. War Center, all the upgrades there, no issues there. Research Center, again, all the upgrades, no issues there. Then in the spaceport, they get altered bargains. So it's quite a long way down. You have to do lots of researches, but basically it means when you trade resources in your spaceport, like if you want to convert one type of resource to another, there isn't a trade-in fee to do that. So that's Galactic Empire. So I really like them. I like them because they're great. No, I like them because they're very flexible. You can do lots of different things with them. They're solid, particularly if you like kind of the whole ground unit thing, like the troopers, mechs, heavy weapons thing, rather than necessarily the air. They're just spot on for that. And the Dark Troopers, well, for sure, it's one of my most favourite unique units in the game. Okay, well, I'll stop there.